Well, hello, friends and fans. It is 4 o'clock Eastern time. It is 1 o'clock Pacific time, or whatever time it is when you're watching this. This is Mainstreet, but in case you haven't noticed, I am not Gary Allen. My name is Geoffrey Mark, and your host, Gary Allen, has an ouchie. So this week I'm filling in for him, happily so. Gary, get well really quickly. He'll be back with you guys next time. But in the meantime, I brought in a good buddy of mine to talk for the next hour. Incredibly talented, incredibly handsome. Rico Anderson is our guest today on Mainstreet, and I'm so happy to have him here. Also, for those of you who are tuning in, there is a private chat. If you want to ask Rico or me anything you'd like to ask, we will answer all questions, but your host reserves the right, if it's filthy, to not answer you. So here we are. It's Mainstreet, and here I am. It's Geoffrey Mark, and we're going to bring in any moment now Rico Anderson to our show. And there he is.
Hey.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. How are you?
Happy to be here. I love hosting shows. I love hosting as much as I love being interviewed. And
it's fun. It's fun to be on the other side of that, isn't it?
You were the first person I thought of. I knew about this a few weeks ago because Gary's ouchie was scheduled. And I ran into Rico. We were at a party together in Hollywood at the Hollywood Museum, saluting Ruta Lee, our friend.
Yeah.
And then like, oh, I can get Rico on the show. That would be awesome. So, sir, my midday coffee cup is poised to you. Salute, l'chaim, and let's have a ball.
Well, my coffee cup that has water, salute you back.
Thank you so much. Rico, I'm sure your fans know your whole background and everything, but in case my fans don't, or we have people who are fans of Gary's, did you get started in show business in San Francisco? Is that where it started for you?
Yeah, that's basically where my career began. I've been wanting to be an actor ever since I was 6, and so I'm originally from Chicago.
My favorite city.
Yeah, I grew up as a little boy in Southside Chicago in Hyde Park. And when my mother and I moved to Berkeley, California, that's when I started getting into doing theater and taking classes and just really, really being heavily involved in it, from theater in junior high school. I studied theater at San Francisco State, did tons of plays around the Bay Area, did a lot of independent film, did a lot of films that came in from Los Angeles. And just really honed my craft, as it were, and really just started there and just grew from there.
You and I were talking a little while ago about something I didn't know about you, and maybe our fans, our baby boomer fans, might enjoy this little bit of Rico Anderson trivia. I had asked you if you were partly Latino, because your first name is Rico. And you brought in a reference from an iconic baby boomer television show that explains how you got your name. Why don't you tell our friends that story?
Okay, well, I get that question all the time. I get a lot that I look like I'm Puerto Rican. And just a little sidebar, I accepted it. You know, I accepted the fact that to a lot of people, I look Puerto Rican, but where it really kicked in was when I went to Puerto Rico and I looked around and I was like, okay, that's what everybody's talking about. So if I were to commit the perfect crime, that's where I would probably go to blend in. So,
but where the name came from was
so where the name came from, my mom loved the TV show The Untouchables. And in the show, there was a character, I believe his name was Enrico. And my mom liked the name so much. And so she said, well, if it's a girl, I'm going to name her Melissa. If it's a boy, I'm going to name him Rico or Greco. To which my grandmother stepped in and basically said, no grandchild of mine is going to be named Rico. So she pulled rank and said, if you're going to name the boy Rico, it's going to be Rico, if that's the choice. And so here I am, Rico.
Because Robert Stack was the star of that show. And it almost became a joke, so much so that Saturday Night Live parodied it in the 1970s, that every time he left his office, Rico, Youngblood, we're out. And Danny Aykroyd did that bit on Saturday Night Live. So the minute you said to me, Untouchables, I said to you, Rico, Youngblood, because it's just very, very iconic. And boy,
yeah,
your mother wanted a boy or a girl. They got somebody who is all boy. For those of you who can't tell from where he's sitting, Rico is a mountain of a handsome man. I would imagine being a mountain of tall muscles helps get you parts. But I've been in the show business myself now 47 years. If you haven't got the talent and the ambition, those muscles can just go to waste. How did you get the ambition? Because I've never met anybody in show business who's had a long career like you and I have had, who didn't have they burned to get ahead in the business.
Well, I first of all, thank you for that wonderful compliment. I get my muscles from my father. He was a very broad-shouldered gentleman, and I'll tell you, Geoffrey, I've been wanting to be an actor ever since I was 6, and that ambition came from watching TV and seeing the representation that was there, and also seeing the and also noticing the representation that was not there.
Right.
And as a result, wanting to be a part of the change that even as a little boy, I knew was going to come, in terms of seeing more representation, better representation, not representation that just falls into specific categories of stereotype. That was important to me even as a kid. But seeing what I did see, I also knew that I wanted to be a part of that. I always saw TV shows and just knew that I wanted to do what they did. And it always made me think of the glamour of Hollywood and what Hollywood was producing, and just really wanted to be a part of that. So it really started when I was little, and it just continued. And as I grew and grew to understand the entertainment industry more, that changed a lot too, because while the ambition was still there, the drive to really be a representation on the positive level became even higher. And as a result, I made a point of being very choosy about certain roles that I take, the type of role model that I aspire to be, just as a person. I'm not perfect, but I try to be a huge inspiration to my family, to people who love certain genres like sci-fi, and see the work that I do and be inspired to do whatever it is they want to do.
Was it a big leap of faith for you to okay, I'm going to leave the safety of the Bay Area in Northern California and go down to Los Angeles? I'm going to go where the work is. Was that an obvious next step, or did you have to sort of swallow hard and go, oh, goodness gracious,
Mm-hmm. It was not an easy thing, because I'm a family person, and I'm very close to my mom and my siblings and my nieces and my nephews. So it was a hard thing to do. And the Bay Area is not far compared to like people who live in other countries or like in New York or what have you. But it's still me being away from the family. So it wasn't an easy choice to make. It was an easy choice to make because I knew eventually that's what I was going to do, and that's what I needed to do. But it wasn't an easy choice to make, to actually get up and do it. But you take those leaps and you do it because it's good to grow, and it's good to go where the action is, where you need, and where you need to be. So that's what I did. And
Excellent.
yeah.
Bucket list experiences. Thank you for checking in with us. He says, hi, gentlemen. The gentlemen say hi back, bucket list experiences. Thanks for watching. I know that you've probably talked about this way too much in your life, but just because we have so many Star Trek fans out there, can we have just 3 minutes about your experiences being on the show and what it meant to you?
So I did a pilot called Star Trek Renegades, and I played a character, basically one of the bad guys. My character's name was Boros, and Boros is a reptilian type character that let's just say he's not nice. He's not a nice guy, and the issue with my character has to do with him wanting to prove to his father how big, bad, and tough he is, and that he could do basically what he's doing, and he can do it maybe even better. And that role came about when I found out that the pilot was being created, and I reached out to Tim Russ, who played Tuvok on Star Trek Voyager, and I had met Tim a few years earlier, and just stayed in touch with him as things were progressing and production was getting underway. And when it came time to shoot, I was offered the part. Long story short, and I was really excited about it because I didn't know what I was going to play. I didn't know. I mean, as an actor, you never really know unless you're going to audition for a specific thing. In this case, I did not know. So and to put the icing even more on the cake, I played this character that was in all prosthetic makeup. So that was cool because I love that type of genre, that type of acting. I mean, it's just cool it's like a cool way of playing dress up, and I'm playing this slimy, sleazy alien guy. And the pilot starred a lot of people from Star Trek and other sci-fi franchises. The main star of the pilot was Walter Koenig, who played Chekhov in Star Trek: The Original Series.
Right.
But also Robert Picardo, who played the Doctor in Voyager, was in it. Gosh, who else? You had I'm just blanking out. Bunch of people. Yeah, a bunch of people. But Adrian Wilkinson from Xena. You had people from the Star Wars franchise. You had people from Blade Runner. You had Edward Furlong from Terminator. John Connor, he was in. So it was just like a who's who in sci-fi. Nerds will know when they see it. They'll be like, ooh, 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 ooh. That was cool because I'm also a fan. And being a fan and being able to work with people who you either grew up watching or idolizing, or you just nerd out over, it's great. I love it. I love it. So it was awesome to be a part of that, and to be a part of the franchise. There's so many different levels of this franchise, and so many different levels of contribution to it. It's actually available, Star Trek Renegades, for free. People can watch it on YouTube. So,
I've seen it, and you're brilliant in it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It was a lot of fun. I can't stress enough how much fun. Tim Russ, who directed it, reprised his role as Tuvok. I mean, there was just so many wonderful elements to it. And it's sci-fi. I've always been a huge sci-fi fan, so I've always been attached to that franchise ever since I was a kid, from the movies to TV shows to comics to pretty much anything. So to be a part of that, come on, that's living the dream with extra sugar.
Yes, I feel the same way when I get to be involved with Lucille Ball stuff or Ella Fitzgerald stuff because of the things I do. It's like I'm part of it now. I'm part of what I used to look up to, and now I'm part of it. That is amazingly cool and satisfying.
You're part of that history, and that's a beautiful thing to say that you're a part of it. You contributed to it, and you help to keep it going. It's a beautiful thing. And just to say this, I love what Star Trek embodies as a whole and what Gene Roddenberry's vision was as a whole and continues to be even beyond his passing. Star Trek is over 50 years old, I believe. As
almost 60.
Almost, well, yeah, I think we're coming on the 54th, 55th anniversary, but I mean, there's a lot to say about that level of longevity. And there's just so many stories that can be told. There's so many ways to tell a Star Trek story. And we're seeing it from the way they told it in the original series to Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise, Star Trek Picard, and Star Trek Discovery. It's just so, and the movies, you know, it's a great ride, and it's a great franchise to be a part of and to be associated.
Well, let's talk about one part of that, because I know it's important to you and it's important to me. Those of you who are watching and listening to us, if you are Trekkers, the original series gave Nichelle Nichols a chance to embody an African-American character on a series who wasn't a maid, who wasn't a secretary, who wasn't, this was someone of worth and education and trust and held a place of honor and respect. And Nichelle's told the story a million times about after the first season wanting to walk away because she didn't have enough to do. And Dr. Martin Luther King said to her, no, you must stay there. You are a representation of what we should be on television. We need you there. I know that you, Rico, are very involved with the civil rights movement, and that kind of thing is important to you. What are you doing? What do you see your role in all of that these days?
Well, first of all, representation is everything. Everything. I can't stress that enough. I say it all the time. I say it to the point where I'm sure people are sick of hearing it. But it needs to continue to be said, and it needs to be continue to be executed. Representation is everything. So when Nichelle Nichols was involved in a situation where she was about to leave, and Dr. Martin Luther King, who was a Trekkie, explained to her why it's important, she got it. She understood it. And here we are today. My involvement it comes from, I was a Black Studies minor in college. And just knowing what I know in terms of the history of civil rights, the civil rights movement, Black history, my own personal experiences, there is always a need to speak out, to fight, to march, to not let things go silent when it comes to injustice. And fighting even more when you have people who show opposition to that and give comments that touch on, you know, get over it, or it's been this long, or all this kind of stuff. It's like, you can't listen to that, and you have to keep moving. You know, it's my involvement. It goes from when I've posted things, when I've attended rallies, when I've attended meetings, when I've just been very vocal in educating somebody who may say something ignorant, or educating a group of people. I've done shows on Black history. I've done shows on individuals in Black history. And, you know, again, I'm not perfect. I need to learn just as much as the next person. If I say something offensive, if I say something ignorant, I want to be taught what I said, or I would say why what I said was wrong, or something I need to rethink. I think that's something we can all do in life. You never stop learning. So my involvement basically is just, first of all, my involvement is really just living day to day, just living my life, but always being aware. last year was a huge example of being aware and doing something about it and continuing the movement to speak out on it. I call last year's situation a civil rights movement. Not a lot of people call
agree.
it.
No,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree totally.
Yeah, not a lot of people call that. A lot of people want to say it was civil unrest. There were riots. There were things, this and that. That's people wanting to twist the narrative and turn what was percentage-wise the majority of protests, people speaking out against the murder of George Floyd and other people in the past, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, going all the way back to Emmett Till, going even all the way back before Emmett Till. That's a civil rights movement. Last year was a civil rights movement.
Anybody who had lived through the 1960s knew what last year was about, because we've seen it before.
Mhm.
This is not the first time these kinds of things have happened.
Right.
They needed to happen now. They needed to happen back in the 50s and 60s, because how does one describe to somebody else what it's like to be different? What it's like to be, from the moment you leave your house, that you're not quite like everybody else walking around out there. Now, I said this to you yesterday. I will never, ever know what it's like to be an African American. I can't. As many African American friends I have that I love, I can observe and see how people are treated, but I can't know what it feels to be on the inside. However, although I am Caucasian, I am not Christian, I am Jewish, and I'm gay. And when I leave the house, oftentimes dressed like this, because it's my public persona, I'm looked at, I'm stared at, I'm different. As soon as I have a conversation with someone, I'm different. It's a daily thing that we have to deal with. You do it with great grace. Have you ever received in the business or in your personal life pushback because of your being an advocate for civil rights? I have. I was wondering if you have.
I have. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
How did that manifest itself?
It manifests itself with people. There's this thing that is called whataboutism that has it's I don't know, it's something that when you say this is happening, there's always some pushback of, well, what about? When Black History Month is happening, well, what about White History Month? Pride Month, well, what about Straight Pride Month? Women's History, Women's International Women's Day. When is it going to be International Men's Day? Stuff like that, where you're not even thinking about any of that until you hear something else. So what you're doing is you're throwing something out there because deep down inside, you feel like there's a part of your life that is either inadequate, or you feel like you're not involved, you're not a part of something, so you have to fight it with basically putting your nose in where, in this case, it doesn't belong, if you're going to have this type of attitude. Just because you're white doesn't mean you can't participate in Black History Month. Just because you're not a member of the LGBTQI community, it does not mean that you can't be an ally and be there. You have to be an ally and understand, or do your best to try to understand a person's difference. And there's nothing wrong with being different.
No.
Yeah, we're all the same in the sense that, yeah, we all bleed, but we're also different. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I celebrate it, which is why
I was going to say that.
Yeah, which is why celebrating it is what recognition for straight, or for Black History Month or Pride Month or Women's History, or just it's not to separate anyone. It's to recognize life and the different ways that life plays into it. So why look at it any other way? Why look at it in a negative way? Why always come with well, this is just separating and dividing? There's no division. It's separating. It's no division. It's recognizing and celebrating.
There seems to have been, and I don't know in American history when this started, this idea that we are a homogeneous bunch of folks called Americans. All Americans look this way. They celebrate their holidays that way. We are all supposed to cookie cutter Americans. How can that be? Whether you came here in the 20th century or the 21st century, my people came from Europe early in the 20th century, or you came in the 16th or 17th or 18th centuries, all of us came from somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And all of us carry with us genetically a memory of being culturally different someplace else. Mm-hmm. Whenever I hear the battle cry where there's a war on Christmas, and I want to say to people, get a room of 30 people together and ask them how they celebrate Christmas. And you're going to get 30 different answers.
Yeah.
Do you go to church? Do you not go to church? Which church do you go to? When do you put up your tree? You open your presents Christmas Eve, you open your presents Christmas Day. You have a ham, you have a turkey. Or you don't do any of that. You celebrate it at the Advent in January. Or you're Jewish and you celebrate Hanukkah, or you celebrate Christmas and Kwanzaa, or you don't celebrate anything because you don't feel like it.
Or just winter solstice as a whole. Some people just celebrate the time of the year and what it's supposed to represent. And so
the idea of freedom, we're fighting for freedom. It's freedom to do it the way you like. What appeals to you, family traditions you feel like bringing forward into the next generation. We have the freedom to do that. That is what makes us individuals. We are not a homogeneous. And by the way, our bigoted friends listening and watching, homogeneous has got nothing to do with being gay. It just means homo means alike, same. So we're not the same. Any of us. In the smallest town on the smallest street, we're all individual people. One of the reasons I care about you so much, I'm going to give you another compliment, so hold tight, is besides being this gigantic, good-looking mountain of muscles, guys, I go to hug him. I'm a foot shorter than he is. I hurt my hand on his muscles when I touch him.
Stop it.
But but it is your intellect, it's your humanity that really brings me towards you. And I think it's what comes out in your acting, because you are a superb actor. Not only in that you can handle a variety of roles and we'll talk about some of your roles that are more current, but your humanity always shines through. And it's why I love watching you when you perform. And it's like why I enjoy being with you, whether we're talking on the phone or being in the same room together. So we talked about last year. So we're just coming out of a pandemic. Hopefully, friends and fans, all of you guys and girls out there, you have gotten your 2 shots. If you haven't, that's your freedom not to. But I hope you have, because it'll make all of us be healthier. Mm-hmm. So while we were sequestered for a year and a half, now I'll tell you what I did. I've been working on 3 books. I have a new radio series starting up called Geoffrey Mark Plays Ella. And yay. And I kept myself busy at home. You, however, had the courage to actually go out and work, and you made 2 movies while everybody else was hiding. So let's talk about them and let's applaud. I do finger snaps because I have arthritis and applauding hurts my hands. So I do this. It's not a gay thing. It's an arthritis thing.
I love. No, hey, listen. No, you you'll see that at different events also. Some people, they don't want to. All good.
So I snap for you. I'll pull. Let's talk about SWAT. So you shot SWAT during the. How do you do that?
Well, first of all, I was up in the house just like everybody else, and trust me, there were times when I sat around and didn't do anything, and but SWAT was wonderful. SWAT was, that's one of those just dream jobs, we were supposed to. So I recur on SWAT as young Daniel. Young Daniel is Shamar Moore's father in flashback scenes. Okay. The present day Daniel is played by Mr. Oba Babatunde.
What a wonderful. I knew Oba just real quick. I knew Oba when he was dancing for Liza Minnelli. That's how far back I go with him. Wow.
Okay. Yeah. Oba he's an amazing person and just wonderful actor. He's a masterclass just to look at and to watch. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So it was an honor to play a younger version of his character. But we were supposed to shoot. So 2 years ago, I shot an episode of SWAT playing young Daniel. Last year, my character comes back in a flashback scene that takes place in 1992 during the Rodney King verdict and the aftermath of that. So we were supposed to shoot that episode, which was supposed to be the last episode, on around late March. It was supposed to be the season 3 finale. Okay. COVID kicked in, everything got shut down. The whole season got shot except for that last episode, the one I was supposed to be shooting. Nothing could be done until it was deemed safe enough to open back up. Around October, SWAT went back into production. We shot it, all COVID protocols in place. Very interesting and different experience set and all of that. But man, we did it. We kicked butt and we made it happen. And with a few changes here and there because of the fact that when we were supposed to shoot that in March, George Floyd hadn't been murdered. The civil rights movement of last year did not happen. People were not marching. We had already lost Ahmaud Arbery due to his murder. Breonna Taylor as well. In parts of those situations were incorporated into a new part of the script that was brought on board as we were back in production. So it was a different and an interesting time because of everything that was happening. So, but we did it, man. We came back and we shot it. And you want to talk about an experience that was something. But being able to play that character and just to bring it to life again, to revisit it was awesome, man. I can't say enough how wonderful it was. How wonderful it was to work with everybody on the set of SWAT. It's a great set. I mean, I felt safer on the set of SWAT than I did Trader Joe's or Rite Aid, for people who don't know what Trader Joe's. Well, I guess Trader Joe's is all over the U.S. So, yeah.
That's amazing. I would have been afraid. I don't know that I would have been able to summon up the courage without there being any vaccines yet to get onto a set and trust that all the protocols and all of the different the people who produced those things, it had to have been like a military experience, like a battle plan, getting everything, all the ducks in a row so that they could protect everybody, because they didn't want anyone, of course, to get sick, and heaven forbid anyone to pass away,
right?
Because you can't get insurance for that. So
let me tell you, they were on it. When I say they were on it, they were not playing. Same with when I did Truth Be Told. They were on it. You had to take at least 2 or 3 COVID tests before you even got on set. Like within a week and a half of before I was even shooting, I was taking COVID tests almost every other day. Then when you get to set, you take a test, you wait in your trailer for the results. Once everything's clear, you go into hair and makeup, you're wearing a mask the whole time. It's for people who don't know, like when you're on a film set, there's usually a craft service where basically they have all the snacks. You can just go and grab whatever, eat, drink, what have you. That's dead. Craft service still exists, but you got people there basically handing you that Coke, that bag of chips, that apple. You just can't grab stuff anymore. So that was happening. Lunch, everything was prepackaged, or they whatever you wanted. It's like cafeteria back in school. They put whatever you wanted in your thing, handed it to you. You're off to eat. If you had a trailer, you eat in your trailer, and you have to wear your mask. You had to wear it. Like everybody on the crew always had to wear their mask. The only time cast didn't have to wear their mask is when we were about to shoot, and that was literally as we're in place. And as we're about to shoot, within maybe a minute or two, we can lose the mask and then do what we're doing. Unless the mask is a part of it, in which case this episode, the present day was, but because my scenes took place in 1992, there was no pandemic. So, but that's where it got, that's where people had to be really careful. And we did it. Like I said, we did it. And they were very much on it. It's like if someone didn't have a mask, they let you know, please put your mask back on. There was
I am so proud of you, my friend. Hey, for those of you who are just joining us for whatever reason, and you're noticing Gary Allen isn't here, Gary Allen had a scheduled ouchie today and asked me, Geoffrey Mark, to fill in for him here on Main Street. Our guest today is the amazing Rico Anderson, who I am so happy to be able to call a friend. I admire you so much because I admire. There's a few things in show business I say are, if you want to get anywhere in the business, they have to be there. Mm-hmm. Obviously, talent, which is God-given. You're born with it, and nobody deserves the talent they get. In your case, you're tall, you have a handsome face. You don't deserve that. You were born that way. But look at what you've done with what you were given. Your amazing courage, your amazing ambition, your amazing discipline. Because kids, mountains of muscles don't just happen because daddy was big. They happen because you go to a gym and you have the discipline to build them and maintain them. Otherwise, they don't happen. Trust me, when I was a young dancer, I had people stopping me on the street in New York City because they liked the way I looked when they walked away from them. But I didn't go to a gym to get that. I got that from being in a dance class with Oba Babatundi. But I haven't danced in decades, and no one's watching me walk away anymore. You have the discipline to keep that going. The ambition and the discipline and the courage. Let's talk about that. Do you ever stop to think about those things? Or is that something that well, of course I do. Or is it something you had to work up like, okay, I want to be a success in this business. These are the things I have to develop.
Well, it just all depends on what you want to do in the business and how you want yourself to be seen. I mean, I do work out. I take care of my skin. I'm fairly good at watching what I eat. I try to do better. And I'm always, I'm always a work in progress. I try to just take care of myself as best I can. It's a thing where you just, for myself, this business is a gym membership as well as taking acting classes or singing classes or dancing classes. If it's not a gym membership, it's walking, it's hiking, it's just doing your best to take care of your instrument, which is your body as well as your mind. Your mental health is very important in a business like this. Depending on the role you're playing, you could be really digging deep into your psyche and going places that maybe you don't normally go. and that can really get you. That can get to a lot of people. So I look at what I do as a constant exercise in just not only maintaining, but bettering and growing, and just always trying to be the best person I can be. And again, I ain't perfect by any means, but I definitely try to put my best foot forward as much as possible. And, hopefully it inspires, and it entertains, and it, hopefully a couple people like me as a result. So
curiosity, it's kind of sort of the same question. How have you kept, or how did you keep, because hopefully we're on the other side of things now, how did you keep your sanity during COVID? It was hard for everyone. What did you do to stay calm and keep your serenity, which I know you have, and not wig out?
A lot of things. We were quarantined, of course, but I tried to get out when I could. I went for walks. I hiked when I could. Really didn't do a lot of it, but I tried to get a couple in when I could. Sometimes I just veg out and watch TV, listen to music. Being an artist, I got creative. I decided to really tap into more of my writing, that I just diving into projects that I've been having twirling around in my head, that I told myself, if I don't start writing this, I don't know when I'm going to do it. So I tapped into that. Within the entertainment community, a lot of us, we did things online. We did readings. We did different, I Zoomed like we all did with a lot of my friends and colleagues. Gosh, I even got created and started with two friends of mine a talk show, and it was called The Lightning Hour that we did with my friend Rochelle Henry and Sasha Kerbal. And so we did a talk show. We did like basically the equivalent of 2 seasons of it, where we interviewed other people within the industry. They were all Zoom calls, and we talked about their careers, life in COVID, just kept it moving. As creatives, this is actually a time where we really can get creative, because there's that challenge that is upon us. And the challenge is everything's shut down. No auditionings are happening. You're not shooting nothing. What are you going to do? The creative juices are flowing, and it's killing us that we're not doing anything. All we got is this. All right. How can we make the most out of that? Well, we can do plays. We can do readings. We can do, musicians were doing concerts, at-home concerts. What I did was I worked on that talk show I told you about. I did other things. I actually did 2 Zoom plays, and 3 Zoom plays. And let me tell you, putting those on was just as challenging in a lot of ways, because now you're not only acting, but you're also lighting, sound, your set, whatever that's going to be. If you're not just doing a green screen background, you're putting together the production, your end of the production. I host the Short Film Awards, aka the Sophies. Normally I'm in New York or New Jersey doing that. This year I did it from my home. So,
speaking of New Jersey, Down to the Felt, New Jersey says they are loving this. So thank you for
awesome.
being with us. I'm glad you're loving it. Gary Allen, please feel better. He's suggesting, hey, folks out there, ask us some questions. We've got about 15 minutes. There's lots of questions we could answer. So please chime in.
And Gary also. I just want to say that as well.
Yes, absolutely. Nightbot, enjoying your time on our channel. Oh, it's another push for us to get more people here.
Cool.
You have on your website and in your emails a quote from Mr. Bardou. Now, keep in mind that I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. Tell me why that sentence is important to you.
Because as artists, we are very sensitive about our work. We're very passionate about what we do, and we're very, through our creativity and what we give to you, you're gonna like it or hate it, and that's okay. But know that we put a lot into it, and we're very passionate about what we do. I know I am, and as a result, we're very sensitive to. It's like having a child in a lot of ways, you know. It's like, and I don't have children, but you're sensitive about your child. You're very passionate about your child.
Oh yes,
nothing but love for that child, the nurturing, the growing, the energy that you put into raising. It's like projects that you do, movies, film, TV, music. I love that quote just because it's like when you listen to the song. It's from a song called Tyrone. And she starts it off with that, and it's just a great quote.
I agree. I can relate to it 100%.
It speaks to so much. It speaks to so much, and it doesn't matter what you do as an artist. If you're an actor, singer, dancer, talk show host, writer, we're artists, and we're sensitive about the shit that we put out. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing.
Absolutely,
that's a good thing.
You mentioned you don't have any children. We haven't talked about your personal life at all. And don't get worried. I'm not going to go delving in. But I'm curious, for those of you out there who like celebrity gossip and think that you know what's happening with all the stars, let me tell you that you don't. That whatever you're reading and seeing is what they want you to know. It may have nothing to do with reality. But among ourselves in the business, it's a small town. Show business really is a small town. Mm-hmm. We know what's happening among people, and we do gossip a little bit. In fact, the other night when Rico and I were at a party together, we found ourselves gossiping. I was like, goodness, I never do this, but hey, have you heard? But let me tell you something, Rico. You can't. No. But also, I love Rico and I trust him. And we were so happy to be at a party with our friends. We were bubbling over with excitement.
It was great.
I have never heard a bad word said about you as a person. I have never heard anyone complain about you on a set. I've never heard gossip about you. I've heard gossip about me, but I've never heard a bad word about you. How have you avoided that?
Either I haven't heard anything yet, or you know, look, again, not me, not perfect, but I do observe. I do my best to observe and respect what being on a set is all about and being part of a production is all about. When you're a guest star on a show, you're being invited to someone's house. Act accordingly. I'm nice to everybody. I love working with people. I respect everyone's art in terms of what they do, from hair and makeup to PAs, to the director, to the producer, just camera person, everybody has a job to do, and it's very important. I still pinch myself in this business. I still stop when I'm on set and look around and really take in the fact that, I'm doing this. Whether it's a huge Hollywood production or if it's a short film, I'm so happy to be where I'm at. And so I appreciate it. And I appreciate the people who are also involved in it. And it's just a beautiful thing to be a part of. So, you know, look, I try to keep my nose clean as possible, as much as possible. And if someone does have anything negative to say, then I either haven't heard it or, again, not perfect. I try to be best representation of myself and just, you know, be there for the work, the fun, and to just, hey, put another one in there, you know? So.
You and I must know 200 or 300 people in common, and I have never heard, even from, you think maybe I might hear it from other African American actors, the jealousy thing. If you book something or they wanted a part that you got, I never hear that about you, which I
Well,
think is an amazing reflection of who you are as a person.
well, thank you for that. But I also want to just say that, I have a group of friends where it's just, and we've said it to each other, but it's also just something that's really unsaid. It's just like, I want all my friends to win.
Yes.
I got people that I've been in the trenches with from back in the Bay Area days, but also when I first moved here. There are people who I know who put in the work, who work hard, who bust that ass, and to get even the one line that they may be going out for in a TV show or what have you. If I don't get it, and trust me, I want to book it, but if I don't get it, I want you to get it. If you get it and I didn't get it, I'm happy for you. I want you to win. I want to win. I want all of us to win. So Black community, white community, Asian community, Latino community, I feel the same about everybody. It's a big business, and yeah, we all want the part. We all want the gig. And hopefully when we get the gig, if we have any pull, we're going to bring people into the gig, people that we know, people that we trust, people who we respect. Yeah.
I've always felt about that kind of thing, professional jealousy.
It exists, definitely.
Somebody else gets a part or gets a show or gets a book published or gets, because I do so many different things in the business.
Mm-hmm.
They're not using up my success. They're using up their success, because somebody else has a success. That tells me there's more success out there for me to have.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I hear a positive thing, someone booked something, did something, got something, I go, yay, because that means I can go out there and do it too. And I'm happy for them because I want them to be happy for me when I get something.
Yeah. Well, also, we're also human. So we don't get something, we don't book something, somebody else gets it. Of course, there may be a sense of disappointment, or you may feel sad, you may feel down. There's a lot in this business that can really mess with your psyche too, because you can go out for role after role after role and not book and just be like, what the hell is going on? What is it me? Is the universe telling me to quit and go back home and do something? I mean, it's just like there's a lot of things that can really test your superpowers in this business. And as a result, yeah, you could feel a certain way because somebody else booked it over you. We're human. So, and as people in this business, actors, writers, whoever, if we don't get something, yeah, especially when we know we've put whatever amount of work, put a lot of hard work in there. It's just, we're human. And again, but it's how do you deal with it?
Let's segue that into something else. In my career, I have been an open book. I started doing stand-up in New York in the 70s. And my history is not important right now, but I never pretended to be anything I'm not. I never talked about my wife or my girlfriend, or I didn't talk about things that were not actually germane to my life. I might have been the first openly gay stand-up comedian. Not that I trumpeted it. I just didn't baloney it.
Right.
So when my Joel died 2.5 years ago, everybody knew about it. I brought my oldest grandson, Ben, to red carpets. You've met him. I've allowed my personal life to be part of my public persona. You, on the other hand, and I'm not going to ask you to tell me about your personal life, but you've made the decision, obviously, and if you haven't, let me know, to keep your personal life very private and apart from your public persona and your work. Was that a conscious decision? Is that part of your personality to be private?
In general, I just try to be as private as possible. I'm very protective of the people that I love, especially my family. I'll put pictures up of, family members and stuff like that, but I I don't go deep into detail about certain things. I I do it because it's nobody's business, but the other reality of it is you have fans and you have fanatics, and you have people who get a little too obsessed in a way where it's unhealthy and it's stalkerish. And
Even I have that. Yes.
yeah, I mean, when you get to a certain level where fandom is already a certain fandom is already big, and you're attached to that, and people see that, they're going to attach to you. And if they can't get to you, or even if they can get to you, sometimes they want to try to get to any part of you. And any part of you could be family, friends, levels that could definitely end up, be considered stalking. It's not to say that just because you're in contact with somebody or whatnot that they're a stalker, but you know the difference, and it exists. And it's that I've just for myself always been a private person when it comes to that.
I cannot believe we've got only 3 minutes left.
No.
Yes, seriously. I think we can go over a couple of minutes if we need to.
Okay.
But
I'm joking.
Let's when you're having a good time, I'm having fun. I hope you are too, and I hope everybody who's watching and listening is having fun also. And gosh, I would have hoped we would have had some more questions. But what's coming up? What can we trumpet for you that's coming down the line that we can look and go see Rico Anderson?
Okay, well, I'm a part of the cast of Truth Be Told, which is a TV series on Apple TV Plus, and it stars Octavia Spencer, Oscar winner Octavia Spencer, two-time Emmy winner Ron Cephas Jones from This Is Us, Mekhi Phifer, Tracy Toms, Tammy Roman.
What a cast.
It's a who's who, and it's an amazing cast. And it was created by my friend Nichelle Tramble-Spellman, also from the Bay Area. And it's available on Apple TV Plus. We just shot our second season. And this season, the first season one, we had Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. And this season, we have who joined the cast, Kate Hudson. So, yeah. So be on the lookout for season 2 for Apple TV Plus's Truth Be Told. That's coming out. Also, I'm celebrating the 10th anniversary of a film that I was involved in called Things Never Says, directed by a friend of mine, Charles Murray. And it stars Omari Hardwick from the TV show Power and Shanola Hampton as well from the TV show Shameless. And got a little cameo on that, and I'm very excited for the fact that I can't believe it's been 10 years since it came out. So celebrate.
You're not old enough to have been in something 10 years old.
I exfoliate, all right? So also SWAT, all of season 4 has the season finale of SWAT just happened a couple of weeks ago. But in the UK, season 4 just premiered on May 30th. So season 4 of SWAT is just starting. The episode,
so all of our British friends could look out for you on that. Yes. Starting very soon.
Yeah, for all our friends across the pond. So that started on May 30th. My episode is called 3 17-year-olds. So check that out.
Is there anything we haven't talked about today that you'd like our fans out there to know before I have to say goodbye to you?
Sure. Well, listen, if you're a fan of game shows, the Hollywood Squares came back in a limited capacity, and it's the Hollywood Squares is connected this time through the Hollywood Museum that Geoffrey, you and I are a part of, and it's called the Hollywood Museum Squares, and it's done as a benefit for the Hollywood Museum. That, of course, it was closed all last year during COVID, but as a result of people not being able to work there, their salaries were covered. And
let's give a plug to Donnell Dadigan, who owns it, runs it.
Yes.
And
huge shout out.
Huge shout out to her, because She is wonderful. The museum. I am so jealous you were on that. I so wanted to be a part of it.
Oh my
And
gosh.
people who were booking it said I was one person away.
Woo.
He had too many men, and this is how Hollywood works. Too many men who are bigger stars than I. If one of them had fallen out, I would have gotten on. It just didn't work out this way. But
Man,
I'm jealous.
let me tell you, I was surprised to get that call, and just to be able to say that I shared squares with Anson Williams of Happy Days, Rich Little. You know, it's just like, wow, to be a part of that classic and golden age of Hollywood, and just to be a part. Oh my God. You know, you want to talk about
Rich almost fell out. I was his standby.
You were a standby. Okay.
Yes.
All right. See, there you go. I mean, shoot, one thing happens to somebody's computer, you're out. So it was an honor to be a part. I hope it comes back. I hope it comes back in an even bigger capacity. I hope it comes back as the Hollywood Museum Squares again.
I would love it, and I would love to be on it next time. Hey, Rico, thank you so much for spending an hour with us.
Jeffrey, thank you so much. This was an honor. It's always great to see you, but it's great to see you in this capacity, and I'm glad we were able to do this. And
I hope I did you well.
Dude, you did awesome. You please. I mean, come on. Gary couldn't have picked a better person to
I've been doing this a very long time. Hopefully I did it well. Again, a shout out to Gary. Please feel better. Hey, friends and fans, I'll be with you at the end of the month again, subbing for Gary. And he said maybe a couple of other times too. I know I've already booked Anson Williams for the end of the month. So Anson Williams fans can come talk with us at the end of the month. In the meantime, on behalf of Gary Allen, please feel better, my dear friend. On behalf of Rico Anderson, thanks for being with us. This is Main Street with Gary Allen. I'm Geoffrey Mark. God bless and have a happy.
Long and